Hello and welcome back to my channel, and if it's your first time here, my name is Janelle and we do all things curly and then some. So today we're going to be talking about realistic expectations in regards to your curly hair journey. So whether that is curly haircuts, whether that is just the time frame, all of that fun stuff, we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So most of you have probably seen the last video that I did with Deshelle, my diva stylist. She came over to my house and we talked about was realistic expectations. And what sparked the conversation with her was actually the diva cut video that I posted a few weeks back, my best friend's diva cut, Alexis, and I'm going to link that video up here. If you haven't seen either of those videos, pause this, go watch Alexis's diva cut, watch my conversation with Deshelle, and then come back here because this is kind of turned into like a 3-part series, and I feel like you'll get the best scope of this information, and this will really wrap everything up, at least for realistic expectations. So that Alexis's diva cut, again, is what sparked these follow-ups, right? And it wasn't necessarily the video itself, it was a comment that was left on the video. And the comment was a very like reasonable, constructive comment, but essentially this commenter just said that they were completely like underwhelmed with the results that Alexis got, and they felt underwhelmed because they were kind of expecting, at least the vibe that I got from the comment is that they were expecting her curls to bounce back a little bit more. Few other things, but that was kind of the gist. Something that we hear a lot in the curly hair community. I think people have these expectations that things happen quickly, and they don't. I have had 4 diva cuts, and I'm gonna pretty much walk you through them. You're gonna see the progression of how I started before my diva cuts and then each of the diva cuts. And then the reason I'm showing you this is that you can see and have realistic expectations of what each haircut took. It didn't just go from this to this. There was a lot in between. And so that's what we're gonna break down today. So I hope that by the end of this video, you have a more realistic expectation, but then also a visual. I'm a very visual person and I know how much visuals help. So that's my intent here, is to just show you that there is a process. So really quick, before we jump into that, if you haven't already slammed that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Go hit that subscribe button, hit that bell while you're at it, and turn on those post notifications so that you do not miss a thing. Let's jump in. And I just want to throw out there, the only product that is in my hair right now is the Women to Women Naturals Gorgeous Collection Leave-In. I only use their line today. I had some people vote on Instagram and they wanted to see my hair with just leave-in, no stylers, so that is what's going on here. So this is my hair pretty close to naked. I absolutely love the Women to Women Naturals line. If you are interested in checking them out, I do have a discount code. I will put a link in that code down in the description. Okay, so a little bit of backstory before I walked into Deshelle. So I did a lot of bleach damage to my hair in February of 2016. So I was a really big fan of Balayage highlights, Biolage, Balayage, I don't know, whatever it is. I am like obsessed with tie-dye and like the Balayage, the melts, all the things you can call those different things, I was obsessed with because it reminds me of tie-dye. So I started in like November and I started adding highlights. Then I added some more, and then in February we just kind of had a free-for-all, and then most of the bottom half of my hair was essentially blonde. I just pretty much instantly saw a ton of breakage, and it was just a downward spiral from that. So here's a photo shortly after I had the highlights when my hair was still okay, and then here is a photo with some damage. So as you can see, it just slowly started like breaking, and it just kept going up and up. And pretty much all of my hair from where the highlights were put in, I lost over time. I let the damage go for a little over a year. I was so afraid to lose my length, and I don't know why, for some reason, that like I thought I would be able to keep up with it. So at first we were just kind of trimming it once a month, you know, maybe like a ½ inch, sometimes even just barely dusting the ends. And I was going to her about monthly as it was kind of breaking off. And then there was a couple times where we cut a little bit more, but we pretty much did that until I think it was about May of 2017. During this time period, not only was my hair breaking off, but then I slowly but surely was like, my curl pattern just was gone. I like maybe sometimes could get a couple curls on some wash days, but it really, like, for the most part was just like a really like straightened version. And just for an example, like, this is one of the best wash days I had after adding the bleach to my hair and having a couple cuts. And as you can see, like, my hair just wasn't, like, in comparison, my hair just wasn't curling. Still a ton of damage, all that. So, so finally in May of 2017, we cut off, I think, about 2 inches. We cut the like last final like 2 inches, and we took my hair from probably about down here, and then we brought it up to actually about the length that it is now. I had finally gotten sick of my hair not curling, and so at that point I was just really ready, like, regardless of the length, like, I was really ready to get my curl back. So we cut my curls, and so here's the thing, is I just kind of assumed that when we did that final cut, I was so afraid of losing my length. When we did that final cut, I really had it in my head that, like, my curls were just going to bounce back. Like, that was the final thing, and I was just gonna wake up the next day and wash it and look at all these curls, right? And it didn't. It bounced back a little bit because it was healthier, like, it got a little bit curlier, but it just still was not getting back to the curl pattern that I'd been used to. And, you know, I've worn my hair curly, like, naturally since I was, you know, 17 years old, and I've seen my hair really curly. So I knew, like, this wasn't my first jump into the journey. Like, I knew what my hair type was, I knew what my curl should look like, and it wasn't getting anything close to that. And then I kind of started getting into panic mode, right? And I also had some personal things going on at the time. My, you know, 11-year-old bulldog, Lola, she was on her way out and ended up passing shortly after. So I was kind of having this hard time, and everything was adding to it. And so kind of amongst that, then my curls, like, it was like the weirdest thing, but they weren't coming back. So I finally was just like, all right, like, so I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna give them some DIY layers. What do I care? I jumped on YouTube, I watched a couple of videos, and I thought, okay, I can do some layers. And I just need to get more of the dead hair off, and then as soon as I snip it, like, I'll be good. And I did. I had this image in my head that I was going to take a curl that wasn't curling, and I was going to snip it where it was dead, and then it was just going to, you know, bounce back. Like, that was the image that I had in my head. And so I, you know, did a little bit of layering initially, and it got a little bit curlier, but it didn't bounce back like I expected, right? Or that I, like, this image that I had in my head, it didn't bounce back like that. So I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I just didn't get enough of the damage off. And so I did it again on a different day. I even had time to think about it. So I did it again, right? And the same thing happened, except for this time, like, oh, it was so bad. So really quick, let's back up. So here is an image of when my hairstylist cut my hair. And I'm sure you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. I probably just should have stopped there and it would have been golden, right? But I didn't. So here is a picture of my hair after my first cut. And I don't have a picture after my second time, but I didn't mention, but then I finally took the scissors to my hair a third. I might have even done it a fourth time, but for sure a third time, for sure a third time. And at that point within myself, I had acknowledged that I'd messed my hair up. And so I thought I was gonna just, like, kind of like fix the shape, which I did, but then I also ended up, like, thinning it out a lot as well. I know. See, and this right here, this photo right here, is why we need to have realistic expectations. What I learned about my curl pattern in this process is that my curl type actually needs more length to get its full curl. So the further that I was cutting up my hair, the less my hair was curling. So that's like lesson number one of this video, is that not all curl types bounce back or shrink more when damage or hair is cut off. Even after haircuts, my hair goes into a little bit of shock, and it takes about 2 weeks for it to get curlier at the ends. So just remember that with certain curl types, cutting off length doesn't necessarily always mean a tighter curl. And in fact, it can mean the opposite, like it did with me. So I've given myself all of these cuts, right? So I reached out to Deshelle, and she told me at the time that she could fix it. But of course, at that point, I would have had to lose more curls, and I was too like, no, I'm just not gonna do it. I just can't handle it right now. So I told her that I would grow it out a little bit and then reach out to her in a couple months. And I did. So all of these cuts happened in like July of 2017, and I ended up getting my first Diva cut with her in November of 2017. So this is what I looked like walking into Deshelle. I went into Deshelle for this first time. I think the most important thing that she had to do was to clean up my shape, right? I had cut all kinds of like funky layers. It was growing and doing weird things. So she cleaned up my shape, but then she also cut my curls so that they would start to clump. My hair needed it. My hair wasn't curling on its own. So she was cutting clumps versus individual strands so that, you know, the curls could have support. So we cut clumps and she fixed my shape. Here is the after. So that was my first Diva cut. So Diva cut number 2, we had in January or February of this year, 2018. So this curl cut was pretty much just cleaning up the layers, taking off any like more like dead ends. That was pretty much it. It was just kind of a upkeep of what we were doing. I don't know that I have a good before, but I definitely have an after, and that is what my hair looked like at this point. That was after Diva cut number 2. So my third Diva cut, I believe it was April, and at this point, so this is where things changed a little bit. So at the third appointment, it was similar to the second appointment in the sense of we cleaned up the shape, she got a little bit of dead ends off, you know, added layers where needed. But one of the things that she did differently at this appointment that we had not done previously is she started cutting my hair curl by curl. So not my entire head. We started with pretty much this portion of my head moving forward, and we left the back of my hair still cut in chunks. So these curls at this point had gotten substantially healthier, and they were starting to curl a lot, and they weren't needing the support of others. So the problem that I was running into is that all my curls were curling, but they were kind of getting stuck together, and they weren't necessarily curls that were curling the same way, right? So the clumps that were originally helping other curls to curl were now kind of being like counterproductive, and that, you know, a curl, like this curl wants to go this way, and this curl, you know, kind of wants to go this way, but they're cut in a manner that brings them together. And then it was kind of almost like making them a little less curly if I didn't catch it soon enough on my wash day. So she started cutting them curl by curl so that they would not gravitate towards that clump. So like that was the upside, is that this front portion of my hair got, you know, strong enough root to tip that a lot of the curls could go out on their own, and, you know, then I could get the bonus of the added volume. But again, we had to work up to that point, right? And as I mentioned, like the back of my hair was still more in a wave, and the individual curls still needed the support of the curls around it to continue to form. So here is an after of my third Diva cut. Okay, so now we're up to my fourth Diva cut. So that Diva cut I had a little over a month ago. So that was in middle of July of 2018. So in that cut, what we did there is we only dusted the ends, we cleaned up the layers, but then what she did this time is she started cutting my curls around my entire head, curl by curl. So I just want to throw out there that curl by curl, we discussed this in the video with Deshelle, but curl by curl does not necessarily have to be what is aspired to. It was what I was aspiring to with my curly hair. I'm not saying make that your goal. I'm saying that that was my goal, and it took us 4 cuts to get there. So this is a month after my Diva cut with just a leave-in, and then this is with my normal styling routine. So to bring it back to Alexis for a second and that Diva haircut, and if you haven't seen that video, please go take a look. Alexis really doesn't do anything for her hair, right? Like she just has a very, and I mean that in terms of catering to curly hair. Alexis's routine does not cater to curly hair in any way, shape, or form. She's shampoo, conditioner, and a leave-in, and they're not necessarily products that are good for curly hair, let alone going to help her with her curly hair. And then there's no routine really outside of that. And so Alexis walked in to get this haircut, and she really is the authentic, like, has no idea about, you know, curly hair per se, and you know, walks in and gets a diva haircut. So that was the thing that was mentioned in this comment was, you know, they were expecting her hair to kind of bounce back, and they assumed that her hair was, you know, maybe just wavy. So something that a lot of you don't realize is Alexis actually has a tighter, like a naturally tighter curl pattern than I do by quite a bit, to be honest, and a lot more hair. The difference with Alexis and I is I am 4 diva cuts in. I am a ton of research and experimentation and trial and error, and Alexis is just getting started. Is it all kind of making sense now? Hopefully it was actually making sense before this, but I hope they just bring it home. But really, like, that is what inspired this, and that is why I wanted you to have the visuals of all of these, you know, different milestones, because even if Alexis would have big chopped, even if she would have taken her hair down to 2 or 3 inches, she wouldn't have walked out with her curls being the tightest that they are. There's just no way. She could have gotten the dead off. She could have been just, you know, with fresh, healthy hair, but realistically, her curls were not just going to be their full curly potential. It just wasn't going to happen, and it doesn't happen like that. And there might be exceptions to the rule, but most of us are not exceptions, we're the rule, right? So if there's anything that I just wish I could drill in to any of you and anyone coming back from damage, regardless of what your hair type is, it doesn't even have to be curly, it's just that it does take time. And you know, one haircut is never going to do the trick. It's just not, it doesn't work like that. So, and again, I just want to drill it home that realistic expectations are so important for your healthy hair journey, your curly hair journey, your natural hair journey. It's all about realistic expectations and just being patient. And it might just be about getting rid of those expectations in general, and just, you know, rolling with it. Like, you know, it's taken me 4 cuts to get to this point. Do I think this is my end point? No, but still, you know, it's taking me 4 cuts and all of the things in between to get to this point. It may take you 2, it may take you 3, it may take you 6, 8. You just don't ever really know. And your and my curl type is probably not the same. Like, really, there's so many curly hair masters that, you know, that they drill it in that no 2 curls are the same, especially on your own head. So if no 2 curls on your own head are the same, how do you expect your curls to be the same as anyone else's? It's a really badass feature of curly hair. So to drill that in even further about why you need to get rid of those expectations, I'm going to show you some of my Curl Friends transformations, and I'm going to show you a bunch of them, and they're going to be in a ton of different places. They have a ton of different curl types. They're in different places within their journey. Some are just starting. Some have only been in it for a few months. Some have been doing it for a few years. I want you to see what happens over time and how differently it happens for every single person. So for starters, let's check out Sarah. Look at how gorgeous Sarah big chopped not too long ago, and look at how far she has come. And then over here, let's check out Dom. So funny story about Dommy is that she did not realize she had curly hair, and slowly over time, and by time I mean years, unraveled those absolutely gorgeous waves. And then over here, we have Elaine. She was my very first curl friend and my, like, I want to say curly guru, but she was more than that. Like, she was like my curly sanity when I started this process. And look at the difference in her hair. And then back over here, we have Liz, Miss Honest Liz. Look at the difference in her hair. I think Liz and I have similar time frames of journeys, but it's really exciting because I feel like sometimes, like when I hit a milestone in my hair, Liz is hitting a milestone in her hair as well. And now I'm going to throw up a bunch more photos on your screen to show you a ton more of my Curl Friends transformations at all different points in their journeys with all different curl types, all of it, so that you can have a little bit more let go of the expectations, inspiration. Take a look. freaking amazing. Thank you so much for sticking around. Again, I really hope if anything that you do for yourself within this curly hair journey is just let go of the expectations that you once had and just roll with it. Again, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Janelle and we do all things curly and then some. If you haven't already slammed that subscribe button, please take the second, slam that subscribe button, hit that bell while you're at it to turn on the post notifications so you don't miss anything. And I'll see you next time. Bye.